Another Wednesday means another weekly team prosperity meeting. This is a meeting that gets directly into things that can help you build your business, whether you are starting out trying to gain traction, whether you're in the growth stage gaining velocity, or whether you're in the distribution stage trying to scale your business. This will help you. So we are into October now. And when you look at the time period of the year that we're in right now, we're still in the meat of the year for a lot of industries in terms of when business is done. You want to make sure you keep your foot on the accelerator during this particular period of time, heading into the holidays like Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. You want to make sure that you continue to work so you have some immediate outcomes, but you're not that person that's restarting after the first of the year. You want to have a pipeline, springboard into the first of the year, and hit the ground running. That comes from a consistency and a commitment from consistency. No matter what time of the year, we're working. A couple of things we have going on right now. We're right about the halfway point of the 12-week year. And if you're not participating in the 12-week year, you can participate at any time. We call it a 90-day madman cycle. That's compressing time frames, getting a lot done, understanding the value of the moment, being great in that moment, having targets, objectives, measuring that, having some reflection, and overall just getting to the point where you start to manufacture more outcomes and get more done over a 12-week basis or a quarter basis than most people do over a year. So we've got that happening right now. We also have the football contest going with cash prizes up for grabs, and we'll continue to try to make this process as fun and relatable as possible. Couple of announcements from this past week is make sure that in your conversations that you frame those conversations, that you set ground rules, because if you do, then what happens is people are going to either fall in line and do exactly what you need them to do, or they're not. And if they're not, there might be a disqualifier that you can move on and spend some extra time with those people who are qualified and do adhere to the ground rules. So set the purpose of the conversation, allocate a time frame, agree on the outcome, and then summarize the next action steps. Remember, be obsessed with next action steps. Don't leave stuff out there to be determined at a future date, because that's a bunch of follow-up and that's a bunch of extra work that you've created for yourself because you didn't summarize and emphasize the next action step. Right here, right now, in your conversations, you have to stress, because just like having a conversation, having a follow-up, another follow-up, another follow-up, you need to stress the importance of right here, right now, and stress the importance of taking action steps. Once strategy and once a plan of action is being created, it's all about the execution. And that starts right here, right now. Remember, when you've got somebody that you can help and you've got them right there in front of you, it's all about that moment right here, right now. Last week, you guys, on the 28th, last Wednesday, we talked about how do I win? Growth is what every business needs, and it's the fundamental goal of every successful business as well as every successful entrepreneur. Some business owners are more ambitious than others, but at the end of the day, growth won't just happen by itself. You have to position yourself in the marketplace, be willing to be seen as well as be heard with your message. And this week, we're talking about the obvious solution. So we're going to center the topic of conversation around making sure that you understand in the marketplace, when you have the obvious solution, you need to make sure that the other side realizes that, and you need to set that up in a way that all of the other solutions really don't make sense at that point. The overall problem that we're trying to solve, too much debt, not enough assets, not enough wealth, not enough retirement buildup, the macro problem exists. So that's not what we're trying to prove. The problem exists. People live it every day. So what you have to understand is the problem is there. The solution that you bring and the persona that you try to attract with that solution is where you have to differentiate yourself. Because for every problem, there's going to be a lot of different solutions, right? However, then there's only that one typical obvious solution. You want to separate yourself in the marketplace and make sure that that you build that rapport, trust, credibility. And by the time that you actually are sitting down or, opening up online meetings with these people, that you are, directly putting yourself in the situation as the obvious solution for various reasons. The debt to wealth process. Guys, that is a transformational process, and it's not just about somebody's financial well-being. It's about the whole entire personal well-being. It affects either positively or negatively the rest of that wellness pie. So understand that the debt to wealth process, once again, there's a lot of quote unquote solutions out there. What's the obvious solution? The obvious solution is the one that's working, that's backed by data, and has a lot of people talking about it. So you're essentially just helping people understand they have a chance to win, that we don't just have to survive, we can thrive in this environment, but you can't miss your chance to win. Remember, the emphasis on right here, right now in your conversations, the emphasis on being the obvious solution, and the emphasis on, what happens if I don't take this route and continue down my old route. One of the things that we do to help people understand the obvious solution is make sure they're the right person to work with. And one of those things that we make sure that somebody has in place is a goal or a motivating factor. And we've talked about this several times. If somebody has no goal, no motivating factor, they don't want to do anything, they don't need us. They don't need us to help them get to nowhere. So one of the things that we have to understand is that a goal, a dream, a desire, a motivating factor has to be in place, because we are, designing a pathway to get there. If there's no end destination that's desired, really, what are we doing? And then the obvious solution has to be focused on a growth mindset. Remember, a lot of the typical psychological objections that you're going to get in the marketplace come from a fixed mindset. So people have to understand and really start to concentrate on, not whatever little thing they give up on the front side, but what are the outcomes? What are the possible, things that are going to happen down the road that they're really looking forward to, that they desire? That's the motivating factor that will propel them to action. And then the obvious solution has to have keys to success. And when you lay out, once we have the goals and we have the education of how to, we understand the risk management, we do the analysis, now we have a strategic playbook, now we have an action plan, now we have something that we can go out and we can execute. So the keys to success, once again, inside an obvious solution, will help somebody understand the process of getting from where they are right now to where they want to be, and also, how are they going to get there? At the end of the day, this is how you do it. And that's all we're trying to show people, is that you're doing something one way, you could possibly do it another way. And if you take this alternative, route, it has a much better desired outcome than just drifting into an unknown outcome. So this is how you do it. And from a very basic perspective, we teach people that, your money is always in motion. So you have to ask yourself right now, my money as it sits, wherever it's sitting, is it my dollar? Is it canceling interest, or is it earning interest? And if it's just sitting out there not doing one of those two things, it's working against me. And like we always talk about, if it's sitting out there not working for me, other places like financial institutions, banks that I have relationships with can use my money to earn interest for themselves. So we want to make sure that the obvious solution comes from an understanding, an education, and then, like I said, the strategic playbook of how it's going to get done. What is it worth? So what is an obvious solution that's going to take somebody to a new desired outcome worth? Because remember, there is price, there is cost, and there's value, and there's worth. The value and the worth is in getting somebody to where they actually want to go. So what you have to concentrate on is, once we've identified the obvious solution, what is the value of that solution placed in their situation to get them what they actually want? Remember, that goes back to where we're talking about the fixed mindset drifts to price and cost. The growth mindset will look at value and worth. And then as the obvious solution is presented, if that's the obvious solution and we can get them on a path to get them what they want, stop waiting for things to happen. This isn't a situation where we present it and then we just ignore it for a period of time thinking that, osmosis is going to take over. We have to go out and make them go out and make things happen. So our job is to show them the way. And then if they, take action, and then our job is also to, coach, mentor them, help them, hold their hand for a period of time until they've got it. There's a paradigm shift happening right now, and it's been happening for a number of years. And I think people are probably more well aware of it right now than they've ever been. So when you're out in the marketplace, when you're discussing what you do, how you help other people like them, you also have to understand and help other people understand, hey, during paradigm shifts, a lot of people, don't do very well. But some people who recognize those paradigm shifts and get into things like obvious solutions that can help them, like we talk about, they don't just survive during these periods of time, they thrive. So the paradigm shift really happens because the American dream is still alive and well, but it's changed because, a lot of us we grew up hearing that, go to college, get a good job, buy a house, pay off the mortgage, save a little bit each month. You'll be set for the rest of your life. Well, we know in today's, macroeconomic environment, today's times, that the rules of yesteryear don't apply to today. So we have a new environment, we have new rules, we have new things happening. So we have to make sure that we adjust to this environment. And that, like I said, that was rock solid advice because our grandparents, our great grandparents, they lived a different type of lifestyle environment because, they lived in the same house for basically their entire life. They had basically one job. They lived on one income. They retired with a pension. They had little to no credit card debt. They saved a little money consistently. They could count on Social Security, and they planned on being retired for only a few years. Our lifespan is getting longer. Retirement is not an age. It's a financial condition. It's a mathematical equation. That's part of our obvious solution. But if you look at this list, things have changed. And when you look at the opposite side of that list, how people are living now, well, you can see the paradigm shift happening because today we'll move 4 to 6 times in our life. I've already moved more than that. Had 3 to 7 jobs during our lifetime. Need 2 incomes just to live and get by. Never have a pension. Struggle with credit card debt. Save very little money. Worried about Social Security being there. And be retired for multiple decades or more. So what happened in the past is no longer relevant really with the plan of action that was the success recipe back then. We have to change, and we have to change with the times. And part of that changing with the times is understanding how the times have changed. And once we understand that, and we can help other people understand that, once again, there are solutions to the paradigm shift, and there's the obvious solution to the paradigm shift. You want to place yourself as having the obvious solution. Education is going to be the key to your success. Helping people understand, there are other options, why yours is the obvious solution. And like I said, value-based propositions that lead on the front side, free education, free guides that lead them down to a path to help them understand why you have the obvious solution. The education that will help them understand, how to combat inflation. Most people have no idea how to combat inflation or what to do. They just see their purchasing power being lessened right now. They're getting worried. Their budget's getting squeezed. How do you fight inflation? We got the obvious solution for that. What do you do in a rising interest rate environment? Well, a lot of people with debt, they're paying more on their debt. So what we want to teach them is through the education and then, everything else that we do, how to maneuver and, position yourself in a rising interest rate environment. And then also, tax rates. We are $30 trillion in debt. I think with the unfunded liabilities, it's $170 trillion, which means for every American adult, it's over $500,000 in liabilities. So it's not necessarily, what you make, it's how much that you bring home, right? It's not, we talked about before, it's not what you do for a paycheck, it's what you do with your paycheck. So on the other side of that, it's not how much you make, but how much you bring home, right? So how much is the government getting their hands on now? And if your tax rates are going to be dramatically higher in the future, how are you going to shield yourself from that? Once again, there are solutions, and then there's the obvious solution. Stop doing what doesn't work. The obvious solution is not going to be to repeat what doesn't work. So some of helping people understand what the obvious solution is helping them understand, hey, you've been, in charge up to this point. You've been doing it on your own. If it's not working for you, let's analyze what you've been doing. Let's stop doing that. Let's take a new route. Remember, we talked about this earlier. We are not just about making it through these environments and surviving. We are teaching our clients to thrive. And we do that with obvious solutions that help them, not only do what they need to do now, but also set themselves up for the future they desire. The wellness pie, you have spiritual, emotional, intellectual, physical, social, environment, and financial. We concentrate on the financial slice, but like we talked about earlier, inside that financial slice, whatever's going on, good, bad, or ugly, it can have a positive or a negative ripple effect on the entire rest of the wellness pie. So understand what you do in this one slice of the pie, has major effects on the other slices and the overall wellness. So what you do is important. Make sure that you position yourself accordingly and make sure that the other side understands, when you have the obvious solution, why it's important to act now. We are a smart technology company, and we, lead with data-driven education that provides solutions to big problems that people are having. So understand that when you're positioning yourself and you're talking to people, part of what you do is the association. Part of what you do is your individual brand. The buyer's journey, from unaware to most aware, you have to understand that's that discovery, consideration, and decision. Like I said, we lead with value-based propositions. We lead with education, and that education helps them uncover, where they're trying to go, how they're going to get there, what are they willing to do to get there, how I fit in, and then once again, what is the obvious solution that they should take from this point going forward. Two things that you always want to paint: the power of possibility and the fear of missing out. Those two are very, very powerful emotional factors. Yes, we want to make data-driven decisions, but at the end of the day, we're emotional creatures. So we have to understand, we have that obvious solution, the emotional trigger factors, they're very powerful as well. Money is important to everyone all the time, especially now. That never changes. We've been talking about that over the past several months. Even if somebody says money's not important, it really is, because money's a tool. It can do good things. It can do bad things. We talked about this before. We're going to tie it into today. If we have the obvious solution and it can create a surplus, what can somebody do with the surplus? They can give back. Can't give back if you don't have a surplus. We are teaching people how to get their money right. And when they do that, like I said, that is an enormous stress relief for them. That's peace of mind. That's control for the future. It does a great thing for them on many different levels of their life. But you have to make sure that you are aggressive in the marketplace. We talked about that. And like I said, when it's your time and your place with that client or prospect and they fit in your persona, you have to do things to make sure that you position yourself with the obvious solution and get them to a point they're ready to commit to a better life. If they don't, what's going to hold them back? So we always talk about, you can do this, you can do that. You've got choices in life. If you don't take the obvious solution, what does it look like going forward? Are you just going to be in that same rat race? Are you going to be tied to that, anchor of debt that you have? What's going to happen if you just continue to do what you've been doing up to this point? Because what we want to do is move from a place where your money's not working for you to where your money is working for you. And that's a process. That's a transformational process. And the quicker they start, the quicker they get to the other side. But how money makes money with real estate, investment, business, once again, money's always in motion, 24/7, 365. It's either working for us or against us. The more that we can have it working for us, the quicker we get to that financial freedom where our income from our passive income from our assets start to cover our standard of living. That's cash flow, guys. Cash flow is one of the most important, indicators of financial health for a person, for a business, whatever you're looking at. Like I said, cash flow is so important. So we make sure that our prospects and our clients understand the importance of cash flow and how to create, strategic cash flow through their household that benefits them. Because at the end of the day, it is so important, and this is one of the biggest misconceptions. In our obvious solution, we are going to build net worth over time, but we are also going to build cash flow pretty immediately. And what's more important? Improving your cash flow is much more important. Cash flow is a leading indicator of health like I said, of personal finance, company finance, whatever it might be, improving the cash flow is how you improve your financial situation. And improving cash flow allows us to move from, paying interest on debt to receiving interest on assets. And then our favorite assets by far, cash flow assets. We want to be paid to hold that asset. That's part of the obvious solution. And then inside, even when you have the obvious solution, people are going to have questions. And the easier that you start to understand the typical questions that people have, the easier it becomes to almost preemptively, overcome and answer some of these. People have the same type of questions. Hey, is this real? Is it going to work for me? How can I do this? And who's going to help me? Through our interaction, the way that we do business, we preemptively overcome a lot of this, but we reinforce with written agreements, with what you get. We have expectations for our clients. Our clients have expectations for us. Part of the obvious solution is making that commitment to both sides. You want to make sure people understand, like I said earlier on, that fixed mindset, we need to switch to a growth mindset. So what would it be like to get to a desired endpoint? Who are we with? Where are we? How does it feel? What are we doing? Where are we at X date in the future? Because like I said, your goal, you have to be able to, for your clients, you have to be able to paint a picture where they're there, they feel it, they're excited, there's an emotional trigger to what's going on here. What do you have to gain? What do you have to lose? What if you do? What if you don't? These are typical questions, and this is always volleying back and forth because at the end of the day, people have those decisions. They're going to be in full control. They're still driving the car. They're going to say, I want to take this route, this route, this route. However, if we go this route, if we don't go this route, these are the typical questions. What do we have to gain? What do we have to lose? What if we do? What if we don't? You're getting that prospect thinking about and working through some of those psychological objections that are typical just from having a fixed mindset. And the top 14 words that we need to make sure that we understand, these are very powerful words. You, goals, opportunity, we, easy, success, amazing, believe, win, benefit, help, new, exclusive, thank you. Inside your language, you want to make sure that you're using power words. Inside the unveiling of the obvious solution, you want to be using power words. And then you want to make sure that you stress, just like we talked about earlier, right here, right now, today. This is when you need to start taking action because procrastination is just lying to yourself. Procrastination, it might have an immediate gratification. If I don't have to deal with this right now, today, I'll kick the can down the road, but it has an immediate impact on you not taking that action step, on you not going with the obvious solution, has an immediate and long-term ripple effect on you, not getting to your goals as fast as you could. Don't leave it up to choice. Once again, if you have an obvious solution, you have somebody in your persona, you're sitting down and you can help them and you want to help them, don't leave it up to chance. You need to make sure they understand that. If you don't take action, if you don't implement some strategic action plan and execute that, you're just leaving it up to chance. And hope and pray is not any type of a plan of action. The rebuttal. So once again, the fixed mindset, concentrates on price and cost over worth and value. So sometimes we have to, overcome that stuff. So if it was free, would you start using it today? The obvious solution. Question number 2, if at X date in the future, when this obvious solution was able to accomplish Y, whatever that goal or motivating factor, would this be a very important conversation and purchase that we had? And then question number 3, what's holding you back from getting to your goals? You have your goals. We've set out a way to get there in the most linear fashion, A to B. What's holding you back? What is it that's holding you back from achieving your goals? And then start to manufacture that picture. What would it be like to hit the goals? Get your message out. And your message has to be both seen and heard in the marketplace. We open today with understanding, hey, we have a big macro problem in this country, financial literacy, financial wellness, debt, not enough retirement, not enough assets. You need to get your message out. And your message is, if you don't learn how money works, you're going to spend the rest of your lives working for money. So remember, somebody ends up working. It's either them or their assets. Who's it going to be? If they want it to be their assets, they need a plan of action. That plan of action is going to encompass what you have, which is the obvious solution. Most people are concerned about money matters, but few people truly understand how money works. Personal finance is like any other skill. You get better and better and better the more time, energy, and resources you put behind it. We're mission based, we're very focused, and we are results driven. So when you're talking to people about financial literacy, about how money works, about money milestones, about the building blocks, it's about making sure they understand that we are head and shoulders above the competition, and we have the complete formula with the obvious solution that encompasses everything they need both now and everything they need going forward to create that desired end outcome. At the end of the day, it's all about we can help. Those are very, very powerful words. Once you understand what somebody's trying to do and you reinforce with, I can help you with that, those are very, very powerful words. We're all going to be a statistic. We don't want to end up being one of the sad statistics. We want to create a life for ourselves, our clients, our partners, our inner circle, where we're one of the statistics that breaks out, not in the norm, that actually experience success, that, like we talked about, not just, attempted to survive through X period of time, but we actually thrived. Like I said, you will be a statistic. The only question remains, what statistic? And that's what we're going to do. We're going to continue to concentrate on things that can help you guys build your business, whether you are marketing, whether you're managing, whether you're doing education, sales, and no matter if you're brand new or you've been doing this for a few years, these are direct things each and every Wednesday that can help you with your business.